For everybody who's joining for the first time, thank you for joining, and as well if you're joining if you're joining regularly, also very glad to have you here again. My name is Stefan. I'm the product manager of FinDock, and in this session we will go over the FinDock October 20 release. We will highlight relevant details around the release notes and the bigger features. We will share with you what we've built, but also a bit why we've built, why and how we've built it. And it's also an opportunity for you, I hope, where you can share your feedback or ask your questions. So please feel free to use the chat or the Q&A option of Zoom to ask your questions. I will try to monitor those and answer those during the session. If that doesn't work, or if it's very specific, I will reach out to you, or we will reach out to you later. All right. First things first, as regular, the October release is already available to you in your sandboxes for a week, or from last Monday or last Sunday evening on, and it will be deployed to production on Sunday evening, October the 11th. And that means that your FinDock production environments will be updated in about a week and the weekend. As an overview of the bigger highlights of this release, we'd like to spend time on the Salesforce Winter 21 updates around these Visual Foresight guest user permissions. We are very happy to show you again our new enhanced online payment experience, but now when it's moving to beta, it's available to everybody, and we are really excited about that. We have created a new guided matching rule and with a new type to also update existing records. And in the process of over the last few weeks, we also did many bug fixing or smaller enhancements with regard to certain projects or packages, and we'd like to highlight those to you. First thing we want to address and share with you are the updates around the Salesforce Winter 21 Visual Foresight guest user permissions. And I know it's a lot of text, but I think it's important to go over this, because Salesforce now for a couple of releases is removing or making it harder to integrate, to have integrations on top of Salesforce with the Visual Foresight guest user. And with the update to Winter 21, Salesforce is actively deassigning permission sets that contain certain permissions like view all or modify all data for Visual Foresight guest users. Now, in the FinDock packages, there are certain permission sets that are impacted by this, and they will be deassigned by Salesforce with the Winter 21 upgrade. And this removal will lead or prevent the FinDock API from working for you. Now, in order to make sure that the FinDock API works as is, not only now, but also after the Winter 21 upgrade, FinDock will automatically push an updated version of the processing hub package on October the 4th. So we will do a hotfix this Sunday, where with this update, your API will keep functioning also after the winter upgrade. We have written a very detailed FAQ article on our knowledge base with the link here in the text, outlining the changes that we've made and the windows that we're rolling it out. So, do I need to take action for my production environment? There's a big if, but in general, most of our customers do not need to take actions. With the automatic deployment of the processing hub package this Sunday, the 4th of October, you are taken care of. However, if you are using either Xserve, SaverPay, or PayPal extensions with FinDock, we cannot push an update for you, and we have a new version of our package available to you in our installer, but you need to upgrade that. We've identified a set of customers that are affected by this, and we will send everybody individually an email outlining the actions required. The second thing that's important to highlight is that for sandboxes, unfortunately, most of the sandboxes are already on the Winter 21 upgrade, and this means that you will need to manually reassign the FinDock site guest user permissions to your Visual Foresight guest user. I see a raised hand in the chat. So to reiterate, FinDock will do an upgrade on the 4th of October with regards to the Winter 21 upgrade that will make sure your Salesforce environments and FinDock environments will keep operating after the Winter 21 upgrade with regards to the Visual Foresight guest user. There is a manual action required for customers that are using either Xserve 6 and or the PayPal extension, and we will reach out to you one-to-one on the actions required. But it's basically manually updating the package via our installer and reassign and assign the permission set in sandboxes. The second thing that I'd like to highlight about the release is the enhanced online payment experience that moves now to beta. So what we have done before the summer is we have started 3 active feature pilots. One on the enhanced online payment experience, which is a new payment API, and the new web hub that together makes the Visual Foresight guest user that we've spent time on in the previous highlight, makes it irrelevant because it doesn't use the Visual Foresight guest user anymore. There's other benefits, but this is one of them. Then we are doing a Go Cardless pilot with a subset of customers. And as you probably know, we are piloting FinDock giving pages. Last release, we gave an update on how we plan to move along these pilots, and I'd like to give you an updated status of that. So currently we are in the October release where the enhanced online payment experience moves to beta. And beta means that we are actually very proud of the product. It works. The documentation is publicly available and it's available to everybody, but we need your confirmation and your feedback before we move it to GA to be absolutely 100% sure that not only we think it works, but also you think it works and it delivers the benefits. Now, while this is in open beta and available to everybody, in the coming month, we are working very hard to also make FinDock giving pages from the November release on available to all of our customers in an open beta stage. Then in December, we traditionally don't do a release because we know that for many of our customers, December is a very busy month, both from an operations perspective, because a lot of your income is generated in December, but also you have to run a tight crew due to the holidays, obviously. So in early January, our next release will be, and there we also hope to bring the Go Cardless connector for FinDock to beta. Obviously, for all these statements, safe harbor applies, except for the October release, because that's now and that's definite. But this is our intentions. And these are the internal goals that we are building and developing against. To highlight to you what we mean, again, with the enhanced online payment experience, give me a minute to refresh your memories. So we have built a new experience, a new way of how to integrate with payment service providers and how to integrate FinDock with your touch points, with your pages, with your web forms, etc. And for the end user, so for your customers, what that brings to you is dramatically increased performance. So with the packages that are now over, we are seeing performance very stable around 1 second. And it doesn't matter whether or not your Salesforce environment is a large data volume environment or really small, and whether or not there's a lot of customization or a little. Then secondly, we bring increased robustness by decoupling the API from the Salesforce transaction. And that means that in the past, when something went wrong in Salesforce, that would also break your API. Now with the new API, you will still get the money still will be collected, your customer will be able to finish the operations, and the errors in the data creation can be reviewed and can be fixed later. And by removing an intermediate redirect page, we make the solution not only faster, but also more robust. Now, when you're an implementation partner or an admin implementing FinDock, a lot is changing as well. It's way easier to set up because there's no Visual Foresight guest user anymore. It's only 2 clicks. It's literally 20 seconds now. There is also less failure points because it's easy. The connection and the setup and the architecture is just more easy. So there's less things that can go wrong. We've increased the consistency in the API by reviewing every package and make sure that they are absolutely the same. And also, while doing that and while using our guided matching tool, we've increased the transparency in what we're doing and why we're doing it. How that looks from an architecture perspective is the following. It means that here's your Salesforce environment. And on top of your Salesforce environment, there will be a new payment API with all the benefits I just described. Now, when you hook your web form to that API, because FinDock still doesn't touch the money, right? The money is actually collected via payment service provider like Stripe, for example, or Adyen or WorldPay, etc. And when there's relevant updates, they send these updates now to the notification gateway instead of the Visual Foresight user. And in Salesforce, all of those updates are staged in inbound report records and are matched and processed via guided matching, giving you the transparency you need to see what is happening, but also the customization options for you. If there's special use cases that only apply to you, you can simply adjust the guided matching rules to your liking. Now, in the last couple of months, but also weeks, we have worked with a select group of customers in pilot phase. And these customers have given us a lot of feedback, and thank you for that. And in the last couple of weeks, we have improved, or we have taken some of that feedback to heart. Well, most of it, but some of that feedback also actionably changed the product. So we have deprecated the whole API token, FinDock API token. So you can access our API via Salesforce Access Token. You can now also operate our FinDock payment API completely on notifications. So when you're a partner, we aim that you don't have to pull and to do GET operations on our API, but we send relevant updates in the Salesforce FinDock data model to you instead of you having to pull. And third, but definitely not least, when something is going wrong in the API from a front-end perspective, so for example, somebody is making a request in a bad format, we also store that error now as a record in Salesforce. And that means it gives you insight and makes it easier for an admin to debug what is happening and what is going wrong while integrating with the API. On the right side, you can see a screenshot of what that looks like in practice. So we have an error object, and there we create a record, for example, and here you see, well, this was the original request, and this was the exception that has been thrown. Now, as also stated in the previous release, we need to bring all our current integrations towards this new world to give it all the benefits. And with this October update, we are happy to say that these 5 packages on the left-hand side are all API v2 compatible at the moment and available to you with the new API. And that goes for Stripe, Buckaroo, our SEPA package, our gift aid package, and Molly package. Now, as you can see on the right-hand side, there's still lots to do. And in the coming release, but probably over the coming releases, we are intending to bring all the packages from not compatible to compatible. And in that process, we review every combination of payment method and make sure it's consistent in the new data model. So it's not only a small change, we also like to close a lot of inconsistencies that over the time has crept in our product. Now, on the right-hand side, you see these different packages, and we are currently working on them in this order. So I'm not saying that's final at the moment, but in the next release, at least the first 3, but I hope, well, at least the first 3 will be part of the, will be API v2 compatible. Now, if you have a use case where you say, I want to use this API, but my package still is not available or compatible with the new API, please reach out to us and let us know, because we want to work with you and to help you go in this new brave world. Now, when you want to use this, we have written, or Lawrence, I should say, has written an excellent document on how to migrate from the classic, what we now call the classic experience, to the enhanced experience. And keep in mind, it's not a very binary thing that you have to move your main website now to the new API. You can in parallel use both the V1 and the V2 API. This is shown to you by toggles on the setup tiles of the different packages. So now when you open, for example, the Stripe package tile, you will see the classic and the enhanced online experience versions, and you can select one or two of them, and they will show you the appropriate settings. Now, what's really important is that our personal advice as FinDock is for new projects and implementations to start using the enhanced online payment experience instead of the classic integration. So while it's in beta, there could be still, minor tweaks here and there, but we are really happy and really proud, and we've done our utmost to give you the best product that we could give you. And our advice is for new projects to start here instead of first using the classic integrations. There are still considerations on why you want to do that. The main one being you want to use one of the non-compatible packages, obviously. But if you can be compatible, it's our strong recommendation to start with the enhanced online payment experience. If you are a current customer and you say, hey, for example, I think my current API is indeed really slow, and can you show me or help me, or can you spend time with me to see how this migration for me would look like, please refer to the migration document. And if that doesn't make it clear enough to you, please let us know, because it's really not that much work. All right. Now for guided matching. So before we look into this rule in general, so guided matching obviously is really important, or getting a really important tool for us. So what we have done now is also with the API is we want to process the incoming payment requests, the incoming payment notifications, your incoming bank statement files and reports. We want to process those via guided matching. And we as FinDock can process those via guided matching, but you can create and update your own guided matching rules as well, usually. So with this release, we have added a very important, and I think one of the last important pieces to the puzzle. We've given you an update rule. And with that rule, you can update fields on any existing record in Salesforce, on any object. So you can say, well, when certain information is coming in, maybe I need to update the campaign member status, or maybe I need to update this custom object and a certain subset of fields. You can now do that via the update rule. The rule is configured on any lookup field, and there's a special case for the campaign member, as you can see in our docs. And with this below, I want to show you all the different rules that we now expose to you in our guided matching framework. So via guided matching, you can put constant values, you can use regular expressions to get certain values out of incoming data. You can query any record in Salesforce, either via a query or via a keyword search. You could normalize input that is coming from your customers. For example, so if you want to transform incoming descriptions from customers to all lower cases, for example, or trim it from spaces, you could use a normalize rule. You can ask the help of an agent by guided review. You can create records in Salesforce of any object. And now you can also update records in Salesforce of any object. And with that, we feel you've almost got the full set of options available to you to model all your business needs. Now, if there's a certain business need that you say, hey, this is my need, and I want to use guided matching, but I cannot model that, we are keen to learn about your use cases. And if you say, well, this really helps, it's always nice to hear that, right? So please share that feedback. Now, that being said, let me demo that to you. So what we have prepared for you is in a Salesforce environment where there's a campaign, and a campaign called Save the Elephants. And we will use our Giving Pages Save the Elephant example that we have used in the past before. And in Giving Pages, it's possible to say, when certain donations are coming in from this Giving page, attach the installment to that campaign. Now, if you can see here, that's important for the demo, the status of this campaign is planned. What we want to do is that when a donation is coming in on the Giving page, and it's attaching it to a campaign, update the campaign status to in progress. So we can now do this in guided matching by selecting the right guided matching rule setup, go to the campaign lookup field, and here, if I put on a plus, I want to create a new rule, I can now see there's an update record rule. Now, I've already created one, so let me show it to you. So there's an update record rule that, well, we could give a name like put campaign status to started. Well, that's not true, to in progress. And here you can see all the fields on the campaign, but we wanted to update the status field with the value in progress. Now, by hitting OK and saving the changes I made to the rule set, I'm set up to do this. Now let's see if this works in practice, right? So I go to the Giving page. Let me refresh it. Go to the Giving page and I say, well, I want to pay 10 euros. My name is Stefan Venderkneep from FinDock. I want to pay via credit card. And this example is done via Stripe, so I'm redirected to a Stripe page where I can input the Stripe details and hit pay. Now Stripe, once succeeded, will redirect us to a thank you page, and from a donor, I'm done, right? So this is the checkout flow from the perspective of an end customer. Now, when we go back into Salesforce, now let's see what happened, right? As we said, all our API calls are now coming in as data, as staging data we call inbound reports. And here is the inbound report of the payment I just made. So when I hit pay and we were going to Stripe in Salesforce, this request was made to our API. Now, via the guided matching rule set, I was recognized as a contact already. Via query, we found my household attached to it. We created an installment, and here is the update rule, put campaign status in progress. So the installment here that was created with the donation is already put on collected via Stripe, right? And now let's see, it's also attached to the campaign if the campaign is updated to in progress instead of planned. This is just a silly example, right? But you can update on incoming data. It could be API data, it could be bank statement data coming from your camps. You can update any data record in Salesforce via this rule. All right, last but not least, definitely not least. As always, we have a lot of active projects going on with you as our partners or customers implementing and start using FinDock. And every time when we hear feedback, we try to incorporate bigger and smaller feedback into our product. And what we try to do in our release notes is we try to highlight the changes that we've made and then per package. So if you're using, for example, FinDock together with Buckaroo, the changes underneath Buckaroo for FinDock apply to you. But if, for example, you're not a gift aid customer, or you're not a customer using our gift aid functionality, then these changes don't apply to you. So in that way, we hope you can read our release notes and easily see whether or not this will affect you or is applicable to you. Now, to highlight a couple of bugs and enhancements that are very relevant to a lot of people, I want to say is that in the processing hub, we found out that that certain jobs, that Heroku can cycle their dynos, as you all know, or as you probably know from the past when working with FinDock. And we have done a review where we went over all our processors we are doing in the processing hub to make sure that when that happens, we can restart that process and restore state. And when state is lost, that an error is thrown so no mistakes are being made. To double prevent this for gift date, when a gift date run is done, we check the totals in the file and in the initial payment schedule to see if they match up. So we check if the amount in the submission and in the payment schedule and the amount of records, so the total amount of currency, so of pounds in this case, and the amount of records if those add up. And if one of those two data points is not as expected, the process is cancelled. And this check we hope in the future to move to other processes as well. Because when we generate your, I don't know, Pane 8 CPA file for direct debits, we could also add extra checks to those processes to make sure along the way in every step that all data is accounted for. Now, another one I'd like to highlight is the payment request generator. In the payment request generator, you can generate a payment request like an Accept Giro or a Tikkie or an ESR code. And we have added the ability to select ESR codes from different payment processors in the payment request generator, giving our Swiss customers the ability to use prefixes with the LSV ESR codes, but without prefixes for the post-finance ESR codes. Together with our Italian customers in Xserve, we have worked hard on enhancing our Xserve package to make sure that the new payment authorization requirements from Xserve were added to the package correctly. And also we have added support for Moto tokens that are generated outside of FinDock. And for our WorldPay customers, we have together improved the handling of certain refund statuses thrown by WorldPay, and also there was an authorization error that we didn't catch well and was was unclear to all parties what was meant by that, and we cleared up the confusion by handling this, I think, very elegantly now. What I hope that you do is I hope you go to our release notes, as you can see in the link here on our docs website, and you review it for you. And if there's a question, again, feel free to let us know. We'd like to enhance our release notes as best as possible. With that, I'd like to thank you all for attending our release webinar. I will stick around a bit to answer questions in the chat and the Q&A, but I hope this was very clear to you. Thank you for joining, and have a pleasant weekend.